How is the product solving your pain? How is the product helping you do your job better? Why is this product well? Again, we need the content for that. So it's super important to create a funnel here. Understand where your users are when they are unaware. How can you reach them here?
It's really all about taking them through that journey from I've never heard of you before, all the way to I can't live without you. And by doing it with SEO, you ensure that you're visible in Google.
If Google cannot see your content, it's very hard for you to position yourself in the organic channel.
The key areas that every SEO within the SaaS industry should be looking out for.
Figure out what are the problems of the users, what is missing, how are we standing against the competition, and put this all together into insights. Our task is show up as a possible solution.
Do you feel like your website traffic is kind of in a slump right now? Or maybe over the last couple of weeks or months, it's actually dipped quite a bit and you cannot figure out what to do next? Go to fireusmarketing.com/meeting to schedule a free meeting with me where we can look at your website, talk about your frustrations, and see if there's anything that I can do to help you out. The meeting is absolutely free. There's no strings attached. If I can help you, I'd love to. Again, go to fireusmarketing.com/meeting. We'll talk to you soon. In today's episode, we're joined by Sasha Lazarchuk. Sasha is a search engine optimization manager at Yoyaba with a strong focus on helping B2B SaaS companies optimize their online visibility and drive organic growth. With extensive experience in SEO for B2B businesses, Sasha excels in creating data-driven strategies that cater specifically to the unique challenges of the B2B industry, such as targeting niche markets, long sales cycles, and customer retention. In today's episode, we will be diving in and talking with Sasha about how to build scalable SEO processes that align with growth goals for B2B SaaS companies. Welcome to the show, Sasha.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here as well. I know that we follow each other on LinkedIn and got to know each other a little bit over the last couple of months since we've originally talked about having you on the podcast, and really excited to learn from you and your knowledge. I've watched a bunch of your other podcasts and see that you have an extensive knowledge in the SEO industry. So yeah, I'm very excited to have you on board. Before we dive into the fun part of things and the tactical and strategic, let's get to know Sasha a little bit. So where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What did you want to be when you were little? And how did you go from that to where you're at now?
That's the reason why I like your podcast, actually, because you start with this super personal stuff and you immediately create this connection with the guest of the podcast. And then every time I'm listening, I'm super enjoying it because I'm getting to know the person. And yeah, exciting to be here and also share my story. My full name actually is Alexandra, and the short name is Sasha for that. And the reason is because I'm coming from Ukraine. That's the short form. Makes no sense. I recently Googled it, made even fewer sense. But yeah, I come from Ukraine and come from a pretty hardworking family. Growing up in the village, working in the gardens, in the fields all summer to grow our own food because post-Soviet Union collapse was heavy on everybody. My parents were working 24/7. Yeah, and I learned to enjoy that a lot. And even though as a teenager, I really was like resisting the whole hard work. Right now, I really enjoy those times when I get back to the roots. Get to work in somebody's garden because I don't have my own. Because now I'm actually in Germany. Since I was a teenager, I really wanted to get out of there for the reason of like limiting growth opportunities back at the days, for the corruption issues. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want my parents to support me with my future because I knew that I am a fighter. I can get there on my own. Why do I need my parents to buy me a job? That sounds horrible because right now the reality is a little bit different. But that's how I got to Poland. I learned the language sort of on my own. And I went there to study at the age of 17. And that's where I also got my first marketing job in the Australian price comparison website. And then 7 years later, I got to Germany. Love brought me here. And yeah, here I am.
So you started out in Ukraine and you went to study in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And then from there, you worked there for a couple of years. And was it in Poland when you started working for the Australian company?
Yeah, yeah. That's where I got to learn the beginnings of the digital marketing.
Walk me through that. What was that like? Was that just like, because I remember when I went through this process first, I remember dreaming about it. I remember thinking like this online world is a completely different world. Like, what was it like for you to start in the digital world and then grow into where you're at now?
Hmm. It's a very good question because I actually ended up there pretty randomly. I was studying international business. And the only reason why I chose this direction is it gave me all kinds of options after I graduate. The most straightforward path is, as they call it in Poland, become a corporate and just work in some kind of bank. Poland is famous for that. There are a lot of offices for huge banks, for huge consulting companies as well, where you just sitting and all the time performing one single role, like filling out one cell in the Excel file. And when the time came to like look into all of this, I thought that, but this is so boring. I don't want to spend my whole life doing that. And I started looking for things. I started looking into the job offers, and then I saw this SEO intern job. And I was like, that sounds super interesting because this thing will never stop growing. I keep seeing Google changing. I keep seeing websites changing. I keep seeing super horrible websites with which I don't want to interact. So probably that's something what I should look at and understand this a lot better. Since also the whole world is moving to shopping online, so like that must be something interesting, something dynamic, something what will keep my ambitions to learn and so on. So yeah, I applied for several jobs, didn't land anything, and I made a pause, and then at some point I was still studying masters, and I decided, okay, let's try again. So I applied for this one job and received a call, literally like a couple of days later, uh, from London, barely understanding who is talking to me. Literally having the first experience, job experience like that, when somebody is talking to me with the happy British a British accent, asking all of these questions about my experience. And I'm like, what's going on? And yeah, and then that's how I landed the job in the comparison website. They had an office. They still have an office in Poland, and it was full of developers and just us, a couple of people supporting the British office of the comparison website. And that's how the whole adventure started, understanding how things work, how much of the impact it can bring when you're creating some listicle, comparing different kind of products, and people are just following the trend, like searching the whole thing. And especially like I was working in the shopping niche. Yeah, it was super crazy for me to see like we create an article and then next day it's just taken off because people are really into a brand and they are searching for something new, and it generates money. And with just a little tweaks, a little bit of content, a couple of pictures, something what people are interested in, and because it's affiliate marketing, it was also generating revenue. And I was pretty impressed by that. That's how I learned first bits of SEO optimizations, content, until Google killed the
Yeah.
comparison sites.
Yeah. It's fun to have those little wins though. It's fun to look back and be like there's so many frustrating times in SEO over the years where I've looked at this and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like Google they keep changing everything, and they have such a monopoly on search traffic throughout the world that like there's a lot of frustrating times. So it's fun to have those wins where you make a couple adjustments, you get some rankings, and you're like, oh, okay, I think I can do this, right? And it kind of keeps pushing you along. So, okay, so from there, you said that love took you to Germany, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you moved, did you have to change jobs? Did you keep the same job? Like, how did you get into working with Yoyaba?
Yeah, I had to start my life fresh without German. Moved here right before Corona struck. It was a pretty tough time. 7 months I stayed unemployed. Took everything what I could take from the people who how to say it nicely, don't exactly want to talk to you in English. It was pretty hard, but in the end, it motivated me to learn the language. And I kept applying for the jobs. I actually found 2 jobs pretty quickly, but both of them said no because lockdown started. So I ended up just sitting there, attending all possible online conferences, kept searching for the job, and found my first job in Germany. That was not Yoyaba. That was actually another affiliate company where I built, together with a team, a cashback site from scratch. That was also a super great experience because I learned all of this ins and outs of technical SEO, hopefully, quite deeply, and learn how to talk to developers. And that was actually, I think that gave me this huge USP when I was searching for a new challenge. After a certain point, I was like, I need something different. I need a new challenge. I need to switch the industries. Also, Google algorithms were not really kind to the small websites, especially those that that are affiliated with something. And I kept searching. I worked really hard on my German, really like with a tutor, a private tutor with the courses, and I reached quite a high level C1 when I was able to already communicate and present myself and talk in German. And they actually reached out to me on LinkedIn. They are great about this because I would have never found their job ad. It was really nowhere. But because their message was so different on LinkedIn, that it just sparked my interest. So I answered. And then immediately in a couple of days, we already had first call. In the next couple of days, a meeting. And then I was here already diving deep into a completely different audience, completely different niche, immediately managing a couple of different projects, like with a lot at stakes. And ever since, I feel like this was the biggest and most important turn in my career, like
Yeah.
brought me where I am now.
I love listening to people's success stories, and a lot of times sometimes they're frustrated and they haven't got to that point yet. But if people keep pushing, just like you did, even through some of the tough times, you get to that one job that changes everything, right? Like I've enjoyed a lot of my past jobs, but my last job, I was there for 8 years, and I progressed more professionally there than I have in any other job. And so once you find that right fit for you, it's pretty exciting to really dive in and see that growth. How many languages do you speak?
5 and learning the 6th one.
Oh my goodness. Which ones are they?
Ukrainian, Polish, Russian, English, German, and started learning Spanish.
Wow. Que bueno. And SEO. You speak SEO, so 7 languages. It's kind of its
Right.
own language if you really think about it, right? So that's awesome. I admire that about you. I've talked to my family about this a lot. A lot of other countries outside of America speak multiple languages, and I love that. I speak English and I speak Spanish, so 2 languages, which is more than I think a lot of Americans speak. But when I've traveled to Europe, I've traveled to Asia, and most people speak like at a minimum 3 languages, and I think that's just so fascinating and it's awesome. So good for you for continuing to learn different languages. Spanish is a fun one. I love Spanish. Um, I think it's definitely different than the other ones that you currently know, um, but yeah, that's pretty awesome. Sasha, what are you currently working on that excites you?
I'm working on the SEO for B2B SaaS, and I think I work on this pretty unconventionally, approaching it from the perspective of revenue, from the perspective of buyer touch points, user experience, and that excites me a lot. Every day is a new challenge. Every week is actually a new challenge. I sometimes come to work on Monday and I think, okay, this week is going to be calm. Everything is just going to go smooth, and then some crisis is there because there are always crises in the on the client sides. And and then I learn something new about SEO, also learn something new about supporting my clients, about their businesses, about the whole industry. And that's actually super exciting. You like never stop growing.
That's awesome. Let's dive right into the tactical side of things, just because it's my favorite and I want to learn from you. So we're going to talk about B2B and SaaS. So tell me, we've had a lot of SEO podcasts in the past, and we have a lot moving forward, a lot on like e-commerce businesses and other types of SEO. How does B2B and SaaS differ in SEO from all of these other types of business models? Okay, listen up real quick. I promise I'm going to get you right back to the episode. But are you frustrated that your product or service isn't getting the right amount of visibility it deserves online? If so, and you want my help guiding you through the SEO optimization, go to fireusmarketing.com/SEO to get my free SEO guide. Talks about all levels of SEO: local SEO, regional SEO, national SEO, and international SEO. It should give you everything you need to optimize your website at a basic level. If you'd like help beyond that, feel free to hit me up at fireusmarketing.com. I'd be happy to jump on a call and talk through your needs. Now let's get back to this episode.
So it's business to business. Let's start with this. And whenever it's business to business, it's a lot more complicated. It involves typically longer sales cycles, a lot more decision makers, a lot more stakeholders, different data that needs to back up the decision on the consumer end. Also, it is about the thought leadership content, because we know that the modern user is, especially the B2B user, is not just Googling for anything, let's say project management software, and just whatever is the first, we go for that. That's not the case. People are researching the topics. They are going on social to find what people are saying about the tool. People checking forums. They are talking to other industry leaders about different tools. And that's actually what really differentiates the B2B and SaaS. And on top of that, there are so many tools right now, like crazy amount. Like even these project management tools, you go out there, you start with 10 in the first listicle, 15 in the next listicle. How do they all differentiate? It pretty much falls on the shoulders of the user to figure it out, make the decision. And the decision is not easy. As I said, it involves a lot of different steps in between until it can happen.
So as an SEO, how do you solve those problems?
Oh, in different ways. It really depends what's the main challenge of the business. So on the experience of Yoyaba, there are some preconditions how we when we are taking the clients. There should be some basic branding in place, the defined product marketing, and of course no negative branding out there. So no, the website shouldn't be penalized and stuff like that. So if that's all in order, more or less, then we are digging into the problems. So what is the main struggle of the company? And those can be really different. And then based on that, we are tailoring a relevant strategy. So if one of the really common thing is the messaging, you like very often the B2B SaaS companies or SaaS companies are relying heavily on the paid advertising. So user just sees something, Googles for something, sees something in the paid ads. Very often people are not recognizing where is the organic result, where is the paid result. They click on something, land on the paid landing page, amazing experience, sounds good. Okay, let me Google the brand name. And then they Google and then they see a horrible website with just a couple of pages, no proof that it's actually a good tool, no trust elements, really different kind of wording used on the website. And then, it literally harms the second user experience with the website, with the brand. So then in this, when the problem is like that, we typically take a couple of tactics. So first one, talk to sales, like talk to the frontliners. What is going on there? Make the frontliners talk to the internal marketing team as well. So involve them in what's happening, how the marketers are communicating the product on their website, on the different channels, and how sales are communicating. Very often, the messages are completely different. It's as if they were selling completely different tools. So we try to find out a lot of information from different sides, put it together, and then reflect that all in the content. Because in the end, content, that's the way you communicate with the user. And most probably I will say the word content a million times today in this conversation, because it's just all about that. It's about communicating to the users about the product values, about their pains. How is the product solving your pain? How is the product helping you do your job better? Why is this product well? Again, we need the content for that. And we need to figure out where to put this content. So that was the messaging part. But if we talk about other challenges, for example, the growth stagnation, it's also like a very typical thing for websites who are heavily relying on paid marketing. But on the side, they are creating a couple of blog articles. Like they have a product marketer who is pushing 5-10 blog articles a month, but they don't bring anything. So the disappointment in organic growth and the pressure from the investors is typically also growing. So this is also possible to address with organic in a similar way, figure out what are the problems of the users, what is missing, how are we standing against the competition, and put this all together into insights, back it up with the SEO research for the keywords, in particular for the high intent keywords, and then optimize the website, create new landing pages that are targeting those keywords. Make sure that everything is showing up online. So ensure that technical SEO is there. And also super important to look into the buyer journey, actually. Identify the friction points. So in this case, we are looking into HubSpot, and I super recommend B2B SaaS and SaaS, everybody actually, to look in the CRM, because there you can see how many touch points users have with the website, with your brand, until they come to any kind of conversion point. And the most interesting part, tactical part, is to look into points where they are like jumping off, when they are not converting, or where it takes super long for them to have the next touch point, or where they schedule a call and the call is just ending up being figuring out what the product is about. So it's all for us to figure it out and then cover up again with the content. So I already said quite a lot, and there are still so many more different challenges that people are coming through.
Yeah, so I have a lot of questions because there's a lot to break down in there. So let me think through what you were saying, because there's a few important key points that I want to get a little bit more context on. So when you're doing SEO for B2B SaaS, you mentioned that, okay, there's a blogger who's over here writing 5 to 10 pieces of content a month, and that's not really working. So I guess the question is, you recommend building landing pages that answer lots of questions versus a bunch of different blog posts, or do you also do blog posts and landing pages, or what's your strategy with that?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. Thanks for bringing it up, because I was definitely not clear here. It's about different shapes of content, actually. It's not just about the landing pages, but very often we need to show quick results and we need to justify SEO. It's always a big commitment to do SEO. So I like to start with the, if there is a good background on the website, I like to start with the high intent stuff, high intent keywords, and creating the landing pages, because that covers this commercial intent and already can work on the background as you're working in parallel on the different kind of content creation. So it's super important to create a funnel here. Understand where your users are when they are unaware. How can you reach them here? So like this very traditional thing, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. And that typically goes in the parallel. So we need to figure out where our users start, create content there to ensure that we are generating visibility and then traffic with this content. Then from this content, we need to identify the second stage. Okay, when users are already aware of the solution, what kind of questions they are asking, or actually when they are getting aware of the possible problem, how are they looking for the solutions? Our task is show up here as a possible solution. And that can be already, when we're talking about the middle of the funnel, can be a landing page, can be a blog article, can be a pillar page that is like connecting different kinds of contents. And then, of course, we are drilling down to the bottom of the funnel when we are already offering the solution, presenting its USP, showing how it's solving the user problems, how it helps user have their life easier. And that's a lot kind of content, not just about the product, but also how your product differentiates from the competition. Why should you choose this kind of product and not that kind of product? Also, what makes your product special in terms of certain feature or in terms of certain integration? Because when we are talking about business to business, it's very often about integration with some other tool, with some other system. And that's very often really undercovered in the separate content pieces. And again, it really depends on the intent in the search of what users potentially want to see. Sometimes it can be a landing page, sometimes it can be an open blog article, and it's up to us SEO to figure out what is the better way to deliver this content to the user. And maybe that can also be a video. Depends what kind of business you're in. If we're talking about the hosting solutions, which is a super, super modern business, when everybody's more or less very technical, those people want to have different kind of opinion in the visual way. Can be also a YouTube video.
Yeah. Okay. So you also mentioned in the beginning that customers work with B2B companies a little bit differently. It's not just like go out and type in a product name and go find a bunch of stuff. Yet you go to social media and you go to forums and you go to the website and you go to all different places. And your strategy or your recommendations on top of the content you're talking about, the pillar posts, the blog posts, the landing pages, do you also focus on going to forums and answering questions and going to other, social media posts and driving people back to the website from there? Or as an SEO, do you primarily just focus on page?
So I don't have much experience with the forums and with social, but we are building this up in the company right now. We are focusing on the website because that's always the touch point. It's inevitable that the user will want to go and check out your website, will want to check out the different solutions. But it's also super important to understand where else your users are checking. And for this, there is a little magical recipe to implement on the website, self-reported attribution. When people are booking in the demo or requesting a price, just put their field and ask how did they found out about you, or ask this during the sales call. And this statistics is actually invaluable because it will show you from the first hand where your users are finding out about you. And then, yes, you can drill down on those other channels. So as much as I have not worked with Quora or Reddit, I know that some companies are really, really targeting those channels and answering the questions, addressing the user pains in a really, really, really smart way, not even mentioning that they are a business, and somehow ended up like leading the buyer journey back to the website, to the business, to the call. That's very very interesting way that I still hope to explore at some point. But social is a super powerful thing. I don't know about the US much, but actually here in Germany, it's really growing. And actually, if I think about that, I think it really comes from the US. That's where it all is happening. A lot of people are just, I saw one post on LinkedIn going viral, somebody talking about their own tool. Oh yeah, that I don't remember the name of the tool, but it was literally this week. A business created a video where they showcased two solutions. One was manual, the other one was their software. And a person who was doing the whole job manually didn't complete the job, didn't make it work. And the other person who used the software figure out everything super quickly, was ready in 15 minutes, so backed up the manager for the request. And that this caused such a big storm of comments, and people were wanting to buy this software. Actually, our sales guy was writing a post about this, like, yeah, I want to buy this one. We need to have this one. So I think it actually comes from your market more to our, and rising a lot of conversation. We see more and more people using unconventional ways there to communicate about the product, drag the attention about pains, and then with the further post suggest the solution. So it looks very, very unintrusive, but it's also very, very smart and organic way to generate users and generate engagement and then lead back to the website. Because once somebody gets aware about the product on LinkedIn, they are highly likely to also Google and then come to you through the other channel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are some common mistakes you see companies have? So if they come to you as a business and they're like, hey, we need you to help fix our problem in SEO, our website. Like when you go and do the analysis or the audit first time around, what are some common mistakes you see companies make that are pretty simple to fix from an SEO standpoint, right when they come on board?
I already have just 2 coming up from my today working day.
Okay.
The first one is translations. I saw a website with porting language versions for the website, for the product, for everything. And I looked at the German translation and it literally made no sense. So it killed my experience from the very beginning. The one word that is explaining the whole purpose of the product that they are selling was just faultily translated to German. So yeah, I bounced. That was my experience. And I actually have a client with whom we just removed 9 languages from the website because they were redundant. They were not optimized. They really wanted to expand to different markets, but it takes time. It takes time to get there, and they couldn't maintain all of that. It led to a bunch of technical problems, and the website started stagnating at first, and then it started really, really declining. So the reporting became more and more negative for the VCs, and they need to take action. And we decided, okay, we cannot maintain all of this. We are not planning to expand in the next couple of years. Let's get rid of this. That's the first idea that came to my head. The second thing was the completely different user experience on different channels. So issues with the messaging, especially when the brands are highly reliant on the paid search. Typically, they put a lot of effort in creating a good landing page, but then when the user is interacting with the website and trying to figure out something more, there is nothing there, or the messaging is completely different. Again, that really hurts user experience and makes them consider other options that are actually staying consistent across different channels, delivering the right message, maybe with a different wording, but the same one in terms of the user pains, the same one in terms of the USPs. So that's definitely a big thing that we're seeing out there. The last one is actually technical SEO, because I haven't seen a website so far in my 1.5 years at Yoyaba that didn't have big issues with tech. All of them come with something, with 16,404s when your website is 30,000 URLs only. Then JS. Oh my God. People start their businesses and they quickly find some agency to build a website for them. They do it quick and dirty in some shape of SPA. And then they keep creating content. Everything is working fine, but with every Google update, they are just dropping. And then at some point, they are dropping and never growing. So they are saying, okay, our old content strategy is not working. Let's quit creating content because it's just not there. It brings no results. And then when we're looking at that, we see that Google cannot actually see the content. It's just blank page. Nothing is there. There is no links. There is no content. Just like here and there something. Some CTAs were actually visible. That was an interesting thing. Yeah, so if Google cannot see your content, it's very hard for you to position yourself in the organic channel. Google is like Google is getting better in that, and after several crawls, things are showing up, but not as high as they could have from the very beginning. And that's actually also the case that I'm working on right now. We relaunched one of the client websites after long period of convincing. We finally relaunched and literally saw the changes in the rankings. We went from the position 5 for the main keyword to position 3 directly. Of course, it also involved a bit of the content optimization here and there, but the rankings improved also on pages that were not touched with the optimization. It means that Google was able to reevaluate and see content a lot quicker. And while we tried to optimize something and prove the point that Google is having trouble with that, with crawling the website, it took us 2 months to see the results of one optimization. So yeah, tech is a big thing that is often very neglected.
It's funny you bring up the JavaScript piece because I did a crawl yesterday on a new client website and I found the same thing. Like it shows, like you look in their analytics and they're like super, super high. And then all of a sudden they just completely tank and they come to us and they're like, our agency said SEO is dead. I'm like, what? Your agency said SEO is dead? So we did a crawl. I pulled out all the screenshots and I'm like, okay, first of all, like nothing is indexable. Like you can see the very top part sometimes, and then it's a blank page, everything all the way down. Or it's like you see, bits and pieces here and there. But I'm like, Google just literally is not finding any of the content on your website. So we've actually made a handful of updates, and we're already seeing the trend going up. So I think that's a common one as well. A lot of people don't realize what is indexable, what's not indexable. And it's not just about like a page being a 404. It's about like if that page is a 200, but Google literally can't see it or their crawlers skip it, right? Then it adds no value anyway. So what tools do you use to find that kind of stuff? I have my preferred, but what tools do you use to help you with SEO in regards to stuff like that?
So definitely Screaming Frog. I like it. It shows a lot of super valuable data. It makes you think as well. Not everything is served on the plate. Then there are a bunch of different extensions that I'm using. So I don't know what it's called. So one would be Vapalizer, because I always want to know the technology. If some of the texts are already by default implying the technical issues. So that's the first thing that I'm actually checking before doing the technical audit. Then there is an extension to disable JavaScript. I think it's called, Marketing Syrup extension from Kristina Azarenko. It's very handy when it comes to technical SEO. And my favorite one is View the Rendered Code.
Very cool. Have you had any let's talk about like aha moments. So we've talked about like you definitely have to have good technical SEO, you have to have good content. Have you had any like aha moments where you're like every single B2B client that comes in, you're like, "Oh, we have to do X, Y, and Z in order to get ranking." Maybe that's internal linking, maybe it's optimizing images, maybe it's something else. Have you had any aha moments that are like key to success in B2B?
Right. Yeah. The key one is actually targeting the business keywords. It's so common that websites or business owners are being very emotional about their solutions, and they are just writing super nice headlines. Everything is cool, but what's the product about? So there are no keywords related to the product. There are no commercial keywords that are actually leading users to bring in users that are ready to purchase. And then they have the whole product section like that. So that's actually the very first thing that I want to do, and that's why I'm also starting with the bottom of the funnel very often, because that's the key problem of most of the websites. It works until a certain extent because Google is still able to understand the content and serve it up to the user intent, but it's so much better when you put there the right keywords that are representing your product, and Google can actually understand it so much better. Your users are coming to the website and having the good experience, because they are scanning the website, they are scanning the content, they immediately see the keyword, and they understand, okay, that's probably my solution. Yeah, that's my sad aha moment.
Very cool. I agree. I think there's different types of content and calls to action. And I think sometimes people are overly aggressive on it, and sometimes people are under aggressive, and it's more fluff than it
Mhm.
is like, here's the actual problem, here's the solution. If you like it, take it. If you don't, that's fine. Is there anything else that we missed? If I'm a business owner out there, I'm B2B, and I'm listening to this, and I'm gathering all this knowledge, is there anything else that we missed that can help elevate my business online?
Yeah, for sure. So we didn't mention the competition pages. I think those are super important and really, really underrated. Um, we did not mention the um, optimized demo booking pages, or just generally having demo integrations on the website. That also adds a lot to the credibility of your product, also to the user experience. And when it comes to uh, this is like generally, like the whole demo thing is a big touch point that user wants to have with your website. And if you have it ungated and give the possibility to look into your tool, that already reduces the friction point and convinces the user better. And I think that's very underutilized. Transparency in pricing, especially. There are so many websites when you need to talk to sales, or just generally to talk to somebody, to be able to figure out how much the product costs. Um, that's sort of okay when you're targeting the enterprise, but highly like you're not, um, or you still are highly dependent on the small and middle segments, which means that you need to be transparent about your pricing. So it's not really scary to put it out there, because competition will find it out. It's actually setting you apart from your competition, because you're so transparent about this. And we should not forget about the decision makers, because they are growing up. Gen Z is becoming older. And that's a fact that they don't want to talk about people. They don't want to be convinced by sales. They want to make their own research, make their own decision, and just talk to sales when they need to close the deal. And we need to start considering this right now.
I think you're spot on with that. I'm not Gen Z, obviously, and I feel the same way. I would rather, find the information. If I have a question, I would rather text somebody than talk to them. Salespeople notoriously have a bad reputation for being pushy, and obviously, you're not going to show your pricing, because your justification is, well, the pricing might scare you away, but if you can get on a call with me, I can convince you why it's that high. But I think the younger generations who are now becoming the leaders in the industry, um, they need that transparency, just like you said. So I think you're spot on with that analysis there. Where do you see the future going with SEO and B2B?
I see a lot of traffic dropping, and B2B owners panicking, uh, because apparently their visibility is dropping. But in fact, a lot of searches are moving to the AI. And that's absolutely normal, and there is no reason to panic, and there is no reason to drop all of the efforts with your content, because the website will remain a touch point in the buyer journey, and you still want those AI tools to find your content and serve it to the users. And if you already, like right now, creating a chain that, okay, somebody went to the AI tool, found the answer on the top of the funnel topic, then drilled a little bit down, found the list of best software tools for project management, let's say, they still go to Google, because they want already to see one particular solution. And if your solution is there and it's backed up with different kind of content, um, yeah, that's the future of SEO. Not to drop it, continue creating great experience, covering up your users from different perspectives, ensure the great contact with your company, let them make their decisions, um, and yeah, report on the pipeline.
Yeah. Not to mention Google's always changing their strategy, always changing their algorithm. I mean, how many times have they released the AI and then had to pull it back and say it's not quite ready, right? How many times over the last 10 to 15 years have they updated the algorithm to they release a big update and then they're like, oh, we messed up, never mind, let's backtrack. And so I agree with you. I don't think people should stop using SEO on their website. It'll be found in certain ways. It may change. It's going to adjust. It's going to pivot, and you're going to have to change your strategy. But I agree with you that nothing is set in stone with any of the search engines. So just keep going. So, Sasha, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the podcast today and enlighten us with your B2B and SaaS knowledge. I can tell you're passionate about it. I can tell you've been in the industry for a while. And I've really enjoyed our conversation. So thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to share the insights from Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. And to everyone else who's listening out there, we'll talk to you guys next week.